The first round grabs the headlines, but championship rosters are built on day 2 and day 3 of the NFL draft. In this episode, we're going to dive deep into the trenches to spotlight defensive end prospects the Bears could target to bolster their pass rush. Guys who could make an immediate impact, even if they don't hear their name called on day 1. Let's dive in. Huddle up! That's right. It's another episode of the House Huddle podcast. As always, I am Rob Schwartz with Bear Goggles On. A couple weeks ago, we did part 1 of the defensive end rankings, of my defensive end rankings, and I went through guys who I felt were worthy of a first-round pick. Now we're going to fast forward, and we're going to look at guys who should be available on day 2 and into day 3. So I'm just going to quickly go through some of these names. We're not going to touch on every single one of them. So what I want from you is, first, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We love where this channel is going. We just want to keep, churning out more and more content. So hit the subscribe button now. Also hit the like button, but go to the comments section as you're listening to this and let me know guys that maybe I don't touch on specifically, names that might be mentioned or names that may be overlooked. And I will comment back with where I'm at with my analyses on those guys. All right, so let's start right now with day. There we go. Let's start with day 2. Second round defensive end targets. I know for those of you who've been watching this podcast for a while, you know that I'm pretty high on Jack Sawyer, probably higher than most people. Most of the other analysts that are out there. Remember, we call ourselves here fanalists. This is not something that I can do for a living. I do have a regular day job. I put as much time and effort into the draft process as I can. I do break down film, all 22 tape, not just highlight reels. And I also write content for Bear Goggles On. So if I'm not writing at Bear Goggles On, I'm here. So again, Jack Sawyer, pretty high on my list. Nic Scourton is a guy out of Texas A&M who I really like. I like him more than Shamar Stewart, as you can see here. Landon Jackson, from what I understand, is a guy that the Chicago Bears could be interested in. From one person that I know who has given me a little bit of inside sources. If you've been listening to the show, you know his name already. Mid-round prospects, again, Shamar Stewart. Let's just touch on him real quick. Shamar Stewart, a beast of a human being, right? The guy looks very similar to Myles Garrett in his size and his strength. The problem is production. And if you cannot produce at the collegiate level, the chances of you producing at the NFL level are not very good. You'd be drafting him for the potential, for the upside there. And look, he can bring it. He could end up being a steal here in the middle of the second round. I know a lot of people have him as a first-round prospect. Personally, I would not touch him that early because too often you go for those guys, and those are the guys that just bust. So, yeah, I'm not looking I'm hoping the Chicago Bears do not go for Shamar Stewart in the first round. JT Tuamalo out of Ohio State. Both Sawyer and Tuamalo had awesome postseasons, the college playoffs for Ohio State. Princely out of Ole Miss is another guy that I like, and I'm lower on Donovan. I can never say his last name. Azirioka. This is when I need Justin on the show. Out of Boston College. For me, he's just too much of a smaller prospect. He is, let's see, his official weigh-in was 6'2", 247. So again, just too small for me. I know that there are guys out there that are, 245, 250 that I'm really high on. So it's a little bit conflicting, but some of those guys, again, I can see them being able to put more mass on. I'm not too confident that they'll see that here. But yeah, so in this round, the one guy that I did want to touch on was the guy that I really like is Jack Sawyer. So here's what I wrote about him. Another guy I'm a little bullish on. For those who watch the show, you're going to or have been following us for the while since January. You'll know some of those names. Xavier Watts is one of them. Isaiah Bond is one of them. But anyway, so Jack Sawyer does not have an elite get off at the line of scrimmage. I know a lot of people are going to bring that up. He's a little bit too slow. but that doesn't stop him from being productive. He made his mark in the NCAA, the college playoffs when he ran back a fumble, 83 yards for a touchdown versus Texas. During that playoff run, which was 4 games, Sawyer finished with 4.5 sacks. During the regular season, he finished with 9 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles. In 2023, he had 6.5 sacks and 10 tackles for loss. Where Sawyer lacks in speed, he makes up for it in power. He has a high football IQ and can read pass protection versus run very well. Does a great job at containment and can be a true 3-down, 4-3 edge in the NFL. His 2 best pass rush moves are his bull rush and cross chop. Sawyer also has strong hands and is able to disengage blockers and bend to the outside. Lacks the twitch and get off needed to be an elite pass rusher in the NFL. Average bend to get around the outside. Said that already. Has a relentless motor that can land him a few coverage sacks or secondary sacks if the quarterback's holding on to the ball too long. Will fit in well, I think, with Dennis Allen's defense. He's a high floor player who I think, comes with little risk here in the second round. So again, a guy I would be extremely excited about, but to be honest, I would be excited about any of those top 3 guys there. And I'd be excited for JT or Princely also in the mid-second round, say they trade back from either 39 or 41. Again, great guys, great prospects here that I think can develop into, if not elite defensive ends, they could at least be, your defensive end 2 on the team. All right, let's move on to a reminder. If there's guys here you want to know more about, you want to know more about my analyses, my breakdown, go ahead and throw their names in the comment section and I'll let you know what I wrote up about them. All right, moving on. Third round defensive end targets. These guys I have pretty much all in the same tier. You got Braden Swinson out of LSU, Kyle Kennard. Kyle Kennard and Jordan Burke are older players at 23 plus years of age. So that kind of brings them down in that sense right there. But again, a lot of older prospects in this draft class, thanks to COVID, that COVID year kind of driving people, be 1 or 2 years behind. Josiah Stewart out of Michigan, who I wrote twice. That's fantastic. Did not double check that one. And Jared Ivey out of Ole Miss. So Josiah Stewart apparently is that good. He gets his name thrown up here 2 times. But yeah, again, so those are the guys that I wanted to talk about here in the third round. The one that I wrote something down to specifically talk about here was 2 of them actually was Braden Swinson. He's got an explosive first step, one of the better speed to power rushers, and he has a great inside counterattack. Excellent pass rusher, but will be a liability in the running game. He over pursues, tries to guess too much rather than show his IQ at reading the play before the snap. Will allow cutback lanes and lose containment. His motor runs hot, but it's inconsistent. When he's on, though, and that's, if you're, getting a third round defensive end that's not going to be a starter, that's, you're putting him out there just to pin his ears back and go get the quarterback. That's probably his best place to be in the NFL to start. He's also a little bit younger, 22. So I like that about him. And 6'4", 250 pounds. So he's got some nice size to him. Jordan Burke, who's a monster of a guy, 6'6", 295. Again, on the older part of this, and I'll mention this here in my recap or what I wrote about him, but he's highly athletic, especially for his frame. He has explosive power. He's scheme versatile, but I prefer him as a 4-3 end with his hand on the ground. He has a high motor who rarely quits, does a good job getting his hands up to bat down balls. In fact, he had 6 passes knocked down in 2024. He transferred from South Carolina in 2023 to Oregon, where he started his first year with Oregon. He had 3.5 sacks in 2023, but up that to 8.5 in 2024. The concern, though, is, and this goes along with a lot of these older prospects, is that he came into his own while being a couple years older and more developed than some of the other, competition. And sometimes when you're older and you have that frame and you're able to take on a younger kid, you kind of, they call it old man strength. In this case, I wouldn't call him an old man, but it's one of those things where you're further developed within your body and you're able to make yourself look a little bit better. And the fear here is that 8.5 sack season is a little bit of a one-off. It's a little bit of an outlier. So that's why he's down here in the third round and not in the first or second. Let's see more about him. He has inconsistent pad level, especially when rushing the quarterback. Some of his sacks were based on second effort due to the QB holding onto the ball too long. Less likely to find that success in the NFL. He has natural power, though, that allows him to bull rush tackles, but he has an inconsistent pass rush plan, and a lack of combination counter moves limits his ability to be a true pass rusher. He can also struggle to disengage. So that again, he needs to develop those counter moves at the next level. And if he can do that, he can turn into a solid defensive end too for a team. All right, moving along. Final day. Day 3, defensive end targets. All right, we'll start with the fourth rounders. If you guys were a part of the live mock draft that we did on Sunday, which was a lot of fun. Thank you for those who participated, and thank you for those who have just went back and watched. We'll have our recap episode coming out later this week. But yeah, day 3 defensive end targets. We talked about Ashton Galletti out of Louisville during that draft. We talked about Oluwafemi Oladeheha out of UCLA. I am horrible at names, guys. First of all, I don't listen to film. I don't listen to highlights. I don't hear the names from the announcers. It's all 22 film. There's literally no sound. So I mispronounce these names a lot, but we'll just call him Olu for now. So Olu out of UCLA. Those two I'm really high on. Elijah Roberts, his name came up as well. In fact, I screwed up and confused him with the guy out of Boston College, who I also can't pronounce, Donovan Ezeakro. No. Aruka. Yeah, gosh, I am butchering it, guys. I need to find the enunciations and put them in my notes so that this goes a little bit better when I talk about them on the podcast. Anyway, I got confused, mixed up as far as the size goes, but all 3 of these guys are have some good size to them. But what I like here about Olu is he's only 21. We'll get to it in a minute, but there is one guy here in this group that I wanted to talk about. Then you got your dart throws in the 5th and 6th round. Kyman Rucker out of North Carolina, Baron Sorrell out of Texas, Q Robinson out of Alabama, and David Walker out of Central Arkansas. Real quick on the bottom guys there, Q Robinson I don't think fits the Chicago Bears at all. He has got some height to him. He's 6'5", but he's only 245. I see him more as an outside linebacker, pass rusher than I do with his hand on the ground. But look, if he can put some mass on his frame, I mean, clearly he's got the height, then maybe he can develop into that. And you're looking at a dart throw here, so I wouldn't be opposed to it. And he's also only 21 years old, so he's kind of like a raw prospect as well. David Walker is much older. David Walker is already 24 years old. Coming out of a small school, he's got some nice size and speed, and I think that intrigue is going to get him possibly drafted late versus being a UDFA, an undrafted free agent. But he's going to be a developmental guy. He's going to be a guy probably stashed on the practice squad and isn't going to do anything for this first couple of years until he develops into something more consistent. I'm personally not interested in that, but again, dart throws 5th, 6th round, the Bears can do whatever they want. And I'm going to trust their scouting department does a good job with the inside intel that we as fanalists do not get. All right. The one guy I wanted to talk about, and that was Ashton Galletti. Again, we did mention him a little bit. He's kind of been a riser through the whole draft process out of Louisville, but he's a freak athlete. Exceptional burst and long speed for a guy his size. He's explosive off the line of scrimmage. He's constantly putting linemen in a back pedal with his speed and strength. Does a solid job with containment and has a nice set of counter rush moves that fluctuate from speed to power. Does a great job maintaining a low pad level that allows him to get underneath linemen and drive them backwards. Bigger, longer linemen, unfortunately, though, do give him trouble. He's only 6'3", arm span's a little bit shorter. So you got these longer guys who can get in on him, and then they struggle to disengage, right? Or he struggles to disengage, I'm sorry. Yeah. The other thing that he struggles with is being able to bend. He's not too twitchy. He doesn't have that bend to get around the outside. So he just definitely relies on that bull rush, that strength and speed combination, which again, it works. But some of the better offensive tackles in the NFL, he's going to struggle. That's why you're seeing him down here in the 4th round. I do know some people have him as early as the 3rd. So look, I wouldn't be opposed to if the Chicago Bears somehow got him, 72 or later. That would be fantastic. Let's see. The other thing he does is he over pursues at time. He takes wrong angles. He leaves the pocket open for quarterbacks and running backs with cutback lanes. Not the most twitchy. I said that already, and lacks ideal hand fighting techniques and moves in order to get that disengagement off. But again, another guy who I think he can develop either into a great player or at the very least a rotational guy. All right, that's it for this episode. These are all guys that I really, really liked as defensive ends. And by the way, that was in order of my rankings. Currently, I am still working on my big board. I was through 122 players as of Sunday. I'm working on tiering those. It's going to be a lot of fun. A couple weeks left before the draft on April 24th. Hopefully, we have a lot more draft content to come out for you. I know this week we are planning an offensive tackle specific podcast, and I went through and did a little bit of research regarding some arm length that we're going to discuss, and Bob should be joining me for that episode, so that's going to be a fun one. Please make sure to come back and check that out, and again, along with the recap of our Sunday live mock draft that will also come out, because look, we didn't draft it. Like we kind of engaged a little bit, but it was more allowing the commenters to make those picks and come to a consensus. And they did a great job. Again, round of applause to everyone who participated. We really appreciate that. We had a lot of fun that night. So check it out. Hit the subscribe button. Please keep coming back. A lot more content to come. But for now, bear down, claws up. That's it.